Chapter 571. There's a little place for her in the presidential palace. She was also worried that Prince might disturb the people working in the office. After all, they were not at home where the maids could look after him. Qin Hao said, "No, no. Everybody likes Prince so much." How many people came to see him upon hearing that he was President Gu's pet? This little dog instantly became even more popular than him. Qin Hao thought exasperatedly, even President Gu's dog is more popular than me now. Constantly comparing oneself to others will only make one angry. He also wanted to be surrounded by girls everywhere he went. Gu Jingze took Lin Che out to eat before returning home. The next day, Yu Minmin called Lin Che and said that Wiley wanted to do a cover photo shoot with her. Lin Che said, "Okay. I've never done a photo shoot before. It's good to try it out." Yu Minmin said, "Well, the photo shoot will take place very soon. People said that you had some abs when they saw you in that outfit last time. Don't eat so much that it disappears. Go tone up your body." Talking about it, I haven't been working out recently. Yes, go back and work out properly. This will not do. Let Gu Jingze help you work out more. Hee. Get lost, Yu Minmin, really. I feel that ever since you got married, you've become more dirty-minded. Talk about your own sex life with Mr. President. Is it good? Get lost. Yu Minmin hung up. She looked up at Gu Jingming, who was across her. Knowing that she was running her own studio, Gu Jingming had set aside a small workspace for her, but it didn't take up too much space. A small room was built across the area where he usually read books. The door needed to be pulled open. Thus, they didn't really close the door. Anyway, they never disturbed each other while they were working. He was now right across from her, separated by an open door. She could see him sitting upright and sitting on a table with C Nation's flag. Looking like the head of the country, it really made her admire him. He was the nation's president after all. Gu Jingming would never look up when he was working seriously. Yu Minmin only cared about looking over there as she rested her chin on her hand. She couldn't help but think about what Lin Che said. Yes, their sex life was harmonious. But it also wasn't really harmonious. He always wanted to go at it too many times, such that she often couldn't get out of bed in the morning. Of course, the president still knew how to control himself. If they had a night that was too wild, he would not touch her for the next few days. She could then rest during these few days and then continue to get thoroughly cleaned by the torrential storm. Just then, the man across her suddenly looked up. Yu Minmin got a shock. He frowned at her. "What are you looking at?" "Oh, I was thinking about some stuff," Yu Minmin quickly said. The president was ill-tempered and his mood could be hot or cold. It was difficult for her to predict. Furthermore, he was also very bossy. If she didn't listen to him, she would only get scolded. Yu Minmin admitted that she was rather afraid of him because his punishments were really tear-jerking. After all, she wasn't the one he loved. Towards her, he was really haphazard. He would blow up if he wanted to blow up. He would do whatever he wanted to do. Yu Minmin thought that he didn't seem to be in a good mood. "Is there anything troubling you?" "Yes. The waterlogging problem in this city is not solved yet and there's going to be a typhoon soon. Some cities have no choice but to cease work. I'm afraid when the time comes, we'd have to." Gu Jingming stopped speaking halfway and looked up. "Why do you care?" "Oh, I was just casually asking." She didn't ask him to say all these. He said it himself. She said, "Carry on with your work. I'm heading out to handle some things." Gu Jingming nodded. Yu Minmin did not say another word and hurriedly left. Yu Minmin instructed the bodyguards not to follow her to work. She was going to meet some clients and didn't want to stand out too much. The guards actually didn't stop following her. They only chose a spot further away such that if she called them, they could immediately rush to her. Yu Minmin arrived at a club. This club was very high-end and she could tell from all the English words outside. "Miss, please follow me. The private room you mentioned is inside." Although Yu Minmin had been exposed plenty of times, she was not a celebrity who often appeared outside. Thus, not everybody would recognize her immediately. When Lin Che was starting to get famous, it also took a long time before most people remembered what she looked like. Her recognition also gradually increased. However, at that moment, Yu Minmin seemed to see a familiar face in front of her. Yin Suya. Who would have thought that she would also be here? Yu Minmin stopped the waiter. That person who just went in. Is she a regular customer here? The waiter watched as Yin Suya went in. I don't know about that, but that private room is a VIP room. The owner of that room is probably a VIP gold member. The gold membership requires a certain annual spending. Even if this lady is not a regular customer, her friend probably is one. Yu Minmin nodded understandingly. These people also talked about circles. The wealthy circle had wealthy people and a circle for people with high status had people with high status. She didn't really mind when she walked past. However, the door was opened and she happened to hear the mention of her own name. Yu Minmin is worthless to Mr. President. An unknown female voice sounded. Mr. President had a relationship with you for so many years. That is different. I know that too, but Jingming will never divorce so easily, Yin Suya said. That's because you didn't agree to be Madam President back then. See, this Madam President was scolded by countless people. Everyone feels that she doesn't match up to Mr. President. Seriously, why didn't you agree to it in the past? You let a commoner catch a windfall too easily. At that time, I only thought that my career was the most important. But now. See what happens now. Someone else is Madam President and getting first-class treatment wherever she goes. Seriously, what career can be more important than being the president's wife? If Yu Minmin didn't appear out of thin air, you would have been the one out of hundreds of thousands. You would have been the first lady. This woman had such an attitude when she spoke. Before Yu Minmin could say anything, a waiter behind suddenly said, "Miss." The two ladies inside instantly looked out and saw Yu Minmin. They did not expect to meet her here. Yin Suya halted. Yu Minmin, she got up and walked out, looking inquisitive. Are you here to look for me? No, I was just passing by. Yu Minmin didn't want to say anything else. She quickly turned around to leave. Yin Suya stood there and watched her leave. Viciousness slowly crept up her face. The woman inside said, "No way. Did she find you on purpose? How much did she hear just now? Will she go back and tell on us?" Chapter 572, Dared to treat Madam President this way. I don't know, Yin Suya said. That woman was Yin Suya's very close friend. She was also from a wealthy family in their circle. Her name was Han Yu. Suya, since Shisa happens to be here, I thought of something that will make her and Gu Jingming divorce immediately. What is it? If the First Lady got involved with some other man, do you think that the Sea Nation citizens will still want a dirty First Lady like her? Yin Suya's eyes sharpened. She looked at Han Yu and was still hesitant. If Gu Jingming found out about this. Yu Minmin was soon in the private room. But the person she was supposed to meet was not there yet. The meeting was to discuss a collaboration. Since her studio was new, certain things still required her to personally discuss so that she could garner more support. Seeing as she hadn't ordered food, the staff gave her some drinks. She drank a little and just as she was waiting in her seat, the light in the room suddenly went out. Only some wall lights remained lit. It was very dark and she couldn't even see the table and chairs clearly. Hey, what's going on? Why did the lights suddenly? Right at this moment, the door opened swiftly. A drunken figure walked right in. Hey, pretty lady, where are you? Why is it so dark? Are you playing hide and seek with me? Yu Minmin asked, Who are you? Me, I'm your hubby tonight. Hubby, this voice was so disgusting. Yu Minmin wanted to hide, but that fiery man came straight in front of her. Pretty lady, let me look at you. I can't see you clearly with the lights off. Are you trying to be mysterious? It's okay, I'll play along with you. His rough and huge hands felt fat and swollen as he grabbed her arm. I'll let go of me. Let go. Hey, pretty lady, you want to play this game with me? But I have no strength to play with you today. Hurry up and serve me well. Once you do, I'll give you however much you want. The man reeked of alcohol when he lunged at her. Yu Minmin avoided him and was almost kissed by him. Let go of me. Let go. Do you know who I am? You dare to touch me? Do you want to die? I dare to touch you. I don't care who you are. I have money and I don't care who you are. I'm going to have you tonight. The man was really impatient. He held Yu Minmin down on the sofa. Let go ah. Outside. Yin Suya looked at Han Yu. Will it work? We spiked her drink, but the time was too short. It is probably not working on her yet. Soon, you'll be able to see how she clings onto the guy begging for love. Yin Suya looked ahead. Sound insulation was so strong that she couldn't hear anything. However, thinking about Yu Minmin getting raped inside, she felt very happy. Inside, Yu Minmin pushed that fat body with all her might, but she couldn't push him away. No, she was not going to be touched by such a disgusting person. However, her body could not react the way she wanted it to. She was helpless and stifled. Let go of me. Do you know who I am? If you dare to touch me. She was still mumbling unconsciously, but her voice was only getting softer. The man laughed. Come on, pretty lady. Serve me well tonight and you will be famous tomorrow. Do you understand? He came up to her and wanted to tear her clothes away, but just then, someone kicked open the door forcefully. 2 beautiful bodyguards ran in. When they saw what was going on, they were shocked. Without saying anything, they quickly dragged the man up. The man yelled, "Damn it! Who dares to touch me?" Then, another man walked through the crowd and into the room. There was coldness in his dark, sharp eyes. Seeing the man who wanted to get up, he kicked him ruthlessly in the chest. The man helped in pain. He still wanted to scold whoever it was, but when he looked up against the light coming in from the outside, he saw the man in front of him. His entire face fell. He seemed to be in shock as he couldn't believe who he was looking at. No way, the president. The man in front of his eyes was the president. The nation's president was suddenly right in front of him. Gu Jingming looked down at the woman curled up on the sofa. That demeanor deepened his gaze. He walked over and lifted the woman up in his arms. He looked at the stunned man and again ruthlessly kicked him in the face. The man collapsed on the floor, but this time, he was so shocked that he could not utter a word. When Gu Jingming left this place, the entire club was locked down. The people inside didn't know what was going on, but they knew that the presidential guards seemed to have been here. In the room, when Yu Minmin was laid on the bed, she couldn't stop moving. Gu Jingming patted her arm. Yu Minmin, it's okay. You're already back home. She mumbled and reached out to tug at her clothes. Gu Jingming frowned. What happened to you? I told you to take the guards with you and now, something like this actually happened. But then, she already took off her clothes. Everything inside was revealed in front of him. He froze as his gaze fell on her. He then realized that she seemed a little different. Gu Jingming grabbed her hand. Yu Minmin immediately reached up to him. No, she said as her lips grazed his neck. Yu Minmin, let go. It's hot. It's so hot. Your body is so cool, I want you. Gu Jingming, she said as she looked up. Her distant gaze was sweet and appetizing like brewed alcohol. I want you. Gu Jingming's head went blank. Her chest was already pressing against his perfection. He grabbed her chest with both hands and pushed her onto the bed. He actually was not fond of indulgence. Whenever he felt himself giving in, he would also stop himself. But he seemed to get enchanted when it came to her. He loved the flesh on her chest to death. It made him forget about everything else. He pushed her onto the bed and began tossing her around. This little vixen was like a crazy person. She kept clinging onto him again and again. Just as he calmed down, she pestered him again. Seeing such a passionate Yu Minmin immediately made his body recover at full speed. He flipped her over once again. Just like that, it was almost daylight. Gu Jingming looked at the white belly of the sky and then caressed her already drenched body. Okay, you just want my life tonight, don't you? Yu Minmin was in deep sleep. He looked at her as she curled up. He frowned. Even in their most intimate moment, she still harbored some fear towards him. Of course, he could tell. He lowered his head and bit her lower lip. Feeling that she actually shunned away, he reached downwards with his hand in a punishing manner. He only let go in satisfaction when her entire body climaxed. Yu Minmin already couldn't take it anymore. She laid there and felt as if she had already died once. Her head was a lot clearer now and she knew that the person in front of her was Gu Jingze. However, she couldn't avoid him even if she wanted to. She had no strength at all and it was as if her energy was dried out. She even remembered some details last night, like how he moved her around in different positions and how he seemed to get stronger and stronger each time. On several occasions, she thought that this meager man was crazy. She could feel his sweat dripping on her body. Looking at the man on top of her body under the dim light, she really thought that he was indeed sexy. But before she could react or think, this man who was the president in charge of the country's regime already suppressed all the thoughts in her head. He was too good. She really had to hand it to him. Especially when he stood there with her legs propped on his shoulders, she really had no temper at all. She could only let him do it while she felt as if she was coming back to life. However, he was still overbearing. Chapter 573, couldn't tell that Mr. President is so passionate. Yu Minmin really didn't want to get up anymore. However, she heard Gu Jingze already leave. She hoisted herself and slowly got up. Just then, the door suddenly opened. Gu Jingze stood at the door. True enough, Yu Minmin immediately sat up when he left. He walked towards her. Were you pretending to sleep? Oh no, I woke up when I heard the door, Yu Minmin quickly said. Gu Jingze walked slowly until he was right in front of her. He gently lifted her chin. Seeing that she kept avoiding his gaze, he asked, "What's wrong? Am I that scary?" "Yes, very scary." He was especially scary. Looking at his calm and quiet eyes, she was reminded of how fiercely he treated her last night. Her body couldn't help but tense up. Gu Jingze scoffed, "You're so scared of me and yet you keep disobeying me. You're really... How am I disobedient? I'm not afraid of you either, really." Lies. Gu Jingze asserted strength in his hand. He caught a glimpse of the scattered marks on her body. He couldn't help but think of how her legs clung onto his waist last night and how her wet body hugged him so tightly. His gaze deepened. His body, which he originally thought was exhausted, once again became energized. Yu Minmin immediately felt that something was not right. She wanted to say no, but his tall figure already suppressed her at the speed of light. She really thought that she was going to die. Gu Jingze already sent his men to settle the incident last night. The guards said that they couldn't contact Yu Minmin. Thus, he sent his men to search inside. After investigations, an abnormality was discovered. Originally, he shouldn't have revealed himself. Linda looked at him. "Mr. President, the club is already settled. All the staff who saw you last night have already been sent to other places to work. They will not speak of this incident again." Okay. The suspect says that he didn't know how he got into contact with Madam President. He couldn't see clearly and thought it was a woman sent to him. Thus, he was so presumptuous. He has already been evicted from C Nation. Okay. Gu Jingze looked up. About the drug. As for the drug, the staff is not sure how it got there. The suspect also claims that he didn't drug Madam President. But in that kind of place, drugs like this are not uncommon. Continue investigations. Yes. Make sure Madam is looked after. Yes. Linda looked at Gu Jingze, took a deep breath, and walked out. People wouldn't be able to tell, but she could. Gu Jingze seemed to be tired. He didn't get a good rest last night. She shook her head. It looked like this afternoon's official interview would have to be pushed back. Otherwise, if there was any flaw on Mr. President's face, it would probably spark a lot of wild guesses and people would wonder what happened to him. After Lin Che heard about this, she quickly rushed to Glazed Tile Palace with Shen Yoren. Yu Minmin was still resting in bed. When she saw Lin Che and Shen Yoren come in, she quickly got up. "How come you guys are here?" "We're here to see you, of course. Linda called us and said something happened to you last night. Why didn't you tell us?" Lin Che asked. Yu Minmin shook her head and said, "I didn't want to tell you because it was no big deal. It was just an incident." Although Linda already told the two of them what happened over the phone, Yu Minmin still told it from her own perspective. Lin Che said, "No way. That Yin Suya was there and then something happened to you after that. Don't tell me it has something to do with her. Yu Minmin said, we don't have evidence for that, so we can't say that. Lin Che said, all right then. Furthermore, she is the president's dearly beloved. If I say it and she denies it, she can bite back and say that I'm framing her side. We'll have the chance to talk about it again. We can forget about it now. Yu Minmin was really afraid of Gu Jingming now. She didn't want to see him at all, much less talk about this. Shen Yoren said, never mind. You should rest well. Tell us if you need anything. Okay, oh right, there's still the photo shoot. Yoren, can you help me accompany Lin Che? Alright, I'll go in your place. Don't worry and rest here. Yu Minmin got up to open the drawer to take something inside. When she bent over, the marks on her body inside were revealed. Oh my god, Minmin. What happened to you at the club? That bastard hit you? Lin Che exclaimed. Yu Minmin intentionally wore longer pajamas. However, it was rather loose so the marks still got revealed when she bent over. Yu Minmin froze. She looked down to see all the red patches that had been sucked, pinched and rubbed. It did look like she went through something, but it wasn't at the club. That bastard was. Shen Yoren took one look and burst out laughing. I don't think she was beaten up. Look at how Minmin is blushing. I think these are traces of love. Lin Che froze and then understood what that meant. She immediately looked at Yu Minmin suggestively. You can't be serious. We were still thinking how badly injured you might be and we rushed over to see you, but it looks like last night you clearly had a fun night. So rough. It looks like your life at night must be very passionate. Exactly. I would never have guessed. Big brother usually looks like a very cool and collected person. He actually has such a passionate side to him. No wonder you look so glowy even though you're so tired. Yeah, your complexion even looks better than it was in the past few days. This kind of regular exercise is indeed beneficial. Yu Minmin looked speechlessly at the two of them who were chirping about. Alright, you guys. That's it. Go on with your work. It was all Gu Jingming's fault. Shen Yoren said, oh my. I didn't think that I would be able to appreciate Mr. President's hidden side first. Mr. President is very healthy. Why not? Do outsiders think that Mr. President is not healthy? Lin Che asked. Yes, in the past, there were rumors saying that Mr. President didn't get married because he must have had some illness. Tisk well, the Gu family was worried before too. Lin Che recalled that the family was always trying to find a partner for him. However, they didn't know that Gu Jingming had someone in his heart. He was dumped and that was why he didn't want to marry. Shen Yoren looked at Yu Minmin suggestively. It looks like that isn't the case today. Hee, who would have thought that Mr. President would have such stamina? Oh my, Minmin, tell us honestly, does Mr. President have a good figure? Get lost, go quickly, stop being a nuisance here. Ha, this one is embarrassed now. The three of them caused a ruckus in the room. On the outside, Gu Jingming still wanted to come in. But he heard the noise and believed that Yu Minmin seemed to be fine now. In the end, he did not open the door. Chapter 574, I'm here to see you work out. Lin Che had no choice but to let Shen Yoren accompany her to the magazine photo shoot. The two of them set off from the company. Seeing that her company looked rather decent now, Shen Yoren said, it looks like it was the right decision for you guys to go solo. Even if you'll be missing out on some resources, at least you have freedom. Lin Che said, yes, but we are still short-handed. We probably will have to hire more people later on. Shen Yoren said, to think that the two of us had nothing to our names in the past. We thought that we'd never get married in our lives. In the end, you a big star now and you're married to such a good man. Shen Yoren hugged her waist. Lin Che smiled and looked at her. I can say the same about you. You and Dr. Chen were at loggerheads at the beginning. Who would have thought that you'd gradually end up together? Shen Yoren blushed. Stop it. Don't talk about him anymore. He's so stupid. He's not romantic like President Gu. He's literally a block of wood. I can take it as if I'm caring for a disabled child. That's why I'm stuck with him. Please, I can see that you clearly worship him to death. Don't try to pretend in front of me. Go away. Shen Yoren leaned into Lin Che shyly. The two of them arrived at Wiley's headquarters. Upon entering, their chief editor was already at the entrance welcoming her. Excellent, Miss Lin, you're finally here. Our stylist is inside. I'd like to first bring you to see what style would better suit you. After Lin Che went in, the few of them discussed what style they should give her. Miss Lin, your skin is flawless. You're so fair and you're not picky about colors. We can try some bold styles, the stylist complimented her. Lin Che smiled, just do whatever you like. I don't really know much about fashion. It's good to try something new. The stylist said, how can that be? A lot of celebrities are imitating Miss Lin's style now. Huh, I have a style. I've always been wearing casually. I just wear whatever that is hung up for me. Yes, wearing casual is also a style. Actually, it's also useless for them to imitate you. The important thing is that Miss Lin has poise. Furthermore, you're pretty, so of course, you look great in anything. After Lin Che and the stylist made their final decision, she left with Shen Yoren. Shen Yoren said, I got goosebumps from hearing them praise you. Lin Che said, they see who they're talking to. When I went out in the past, nobody bothered about me. Now, even the chief editor personally welcomed me. Sigh, seriously. Shen Yoren said, well, you're a big star now after all. Everybody would want to welcome you personally. People talked about you more than anyone else this year. But fame in the entertainment industry comes in waves. You would become famous all of a sudden. Ultimately, I feel that it is also about time for me to take a back seat. Otherwise, the audience would also get tired of me. Really, I do think that you've been getting plenty of coverage lately. What you said makes sense too. Why don't you take a break after you're done filming this drama? Quickly have a baby. Hee. Ever since you started out, you've been filming non-stop. You've never taken a break. Get lost. What baby? Lin Che thought about it but felt depressed. Recently, she and Gu Jingze seemed to be a little careless when it came to contraception. Sometimes, they would forget in the midst of all the chaotic passion. Indeed, he was always well prepared previously. That was why she didn't worry at all. Now, he was getting careless with it, and when she was touched by him, she would immediately not care about anything else and also become careless. She soon reached home. Since the photo shoot was coming very soon, Lin Che wanted to quickly find a personal trainer for her gym workout. When Gu Jingze returned, he asked the maids where Lin Che was. The maids immediately replied, Sir, Madam is in the gym. The Gu residence's gym had everything and was comparable to any major gyms outside. Lin Che wore a broad and cropped athletic top that revealed her smooth and flat stomach. She wore tight-fitting boxers which made her entire self look very petite. When Gu Jingze entered, she was doing stretching exercises. She seemed to have just started. She was slicing off and not stretching completely. Shaking his head, he said, the way you work out is practically a waste of time. Lin Che froze. She saw that Gu Jingze was here and she stood up sheepishly. She stuck out her tongue, thinking she had been caught. She didn't want to skive off, but working out really depended on willpower. Now that she didn't have a big push factor like that the WW banquet and she was working out alone, she naturally started to skive off. She replied, Idiot, what are you doing here? I came to check if you were working hard. Sure enough, you weren't. I was just resting. Right, it's no use to lie to me. I know you too well. Gu Jingze reached out and tapped her forehead. Lin Che felt even more helpless. Hugging his waist, she said, Fine, it's just really easy to skive off when I work out alone. Nobody is watching me, so it's easy. Gu Jingze thought for a while and then said, Okay. Wait for me, I'll help you with your workout. Huh, Lin Che looked at him in surprise. Gu Jingze said, To stop you from skiving off. Wait here, I'll go change. Gu Jingze quickly changed his clothes. He wore a gray gym tank top and broad exercise shorts. His honey-colored skin pulsated inside, making one want to take a big gulp. Gu Jingze said, Come on, let's work out. Lin Che obediently sat down and began working out. Meanwhile, Gu Jingze also kept to his word and began his workout seriously. Stretches, jumps, pull-ups. Lin Che was getting out of breath. However, she followed her breathing and felt that she still had energy and strength. Sweat droplets started forming. Her body also felt much more relaxed. She looked up and saw Gu Jingze pulling the horizontal bar. This action made his body very straight. Every single muscle of his was in use. His clothes were already drenched in sweat. As his muscles danced inside, he looked even better. His wet body looked so sexy that she couldn't take her eyes off him. Lin Che stopped moving and she couldn't resist looking at him. Suddenly, Gu Jingze turned his head to her. Skiving off again. Lin Che replied speechlessly, no, I'm working out. Gu Jingze jumped down neatly. The smell of sweat was strong. Thankfully, his clothes were already sprayed with deodorant. When it mixed with his sweat, he smelled even more refreshing. He walked towards her. Lin Che quickly continued stretching when Gu Jingze said, let me help you hold your legs. Ah. Lin Che said okay. She lied down and his hands held onto her legs. His large hands didn't seem to use any strength, but they were already pressing her down firmly. Chapter 575, Enchanting People with Her Beauty. Lin Che began doing sit-ups. He intentionally went so close to her that when she came up, she almost hit his face. Almost touching the tip of his nose, she looked at him and grunted shyly, what are you doing? Gu Jingze kept a straight face and said strictly, hurry up, don't cheat. She went down and came up again. She felt that he was even closer this time. Her little shorts looked very playful. When she moved, her chest undulated. Only clad in a cropped top, her chest moved about very tastefully. He stared and smiled as he said, again. When Lin Che came up this time, he didn't tease her. Instead, he simply kissed her lips. She grunted. He bit her and leaned upwards to her. When Mo Hilling returned outside, she saw Gu Jingze's car. It looked like Gu Jingze was already home. She hurried in but couldn't see him anywhere. She pulled a maid to the side and asked, where is Jingze? The maid was very angry about being pulled over. Miss Mo, sir is in the gym. Seeing that Mo Hilling wanted to head in that direction, the maid added, sir and madam are working out together. Sir and madam. He and Lin Che were working out together. The maid didn't expect Mo Hilling to still run over after she said that. Mo Hilling also didn't expect that just as she wanted to go in, she would first see the transparent glass door. Gu Jingze was leaning into Lin Che silently. Lin Che was lying on the exercise mat. Gu Jingze went up to her like a leopard that was slowly approaching her. When the two of them were together, the maids would absolutely steer clear. This area had nobody else and they really had the whole room to themselves. Mo Hilling watched angrily. The two of them kissed unabashedly. From the back, Gu Jingze's body looked even more muscular after working out. Every muscle glowed. He hugged Lin Che and that sweet image really made one's heart as sweet as honey. Mo Hilling thought about how many times this appeared in her dreams. It was a pity that despite being with Gu Jingze for so many years, she never had such a joyous moment like this. She also never thought that this was any good. However, after truly seeing Gu Jingze doing such intimate things with another woman, she really felt jealous. This was all hers. It should have been hers. She wanted Gu Jingze's body so madly. She wanted to claim every part of his perfection. But heaven was so unjust that she actually couldn't touch him. She had to watch as only Lin Che could touch Gu Jingze's perfect body. That kiss was so beautiful that it made one look forward. Mo Hilling's legs seemed to be stuck there. She wanted to move but she couldn't. However, Gu Jingze was already completely holding Lin Che down. Who knew what was going to happen next? She couldn't watch anymore, so she turned around and left. Actually, Gu Jingze also didn't want to do anything in the gym. After he kissed her, he hugged her and smiled. Come on, let's go to another place to continue our workout. What? No way. Lin Che trained for a few days and was finally ready for her photo shoot. Yu Minmin accompanied Lin Che to the shooting venue and said to her, if you need to film in the next few days, go ahead with it. I'll prepare some documents and wait for you to come back. We'll start recruiting staff. Okay, you can just do it. No way, you're the big boss. You have to take a look first, Yu Minmin replied. Do we really need to be so definitive? Lin Che asked. Yu Minmin said, the important thing is that I can't make the decisions myself. It's also my first time recruiting. They looked at each other and smiled. After that, Lin Che did her makeup and went for her photo shoot. She was quite okay with facing the camera, but she wasn't very used to it in the beginning. After all, the cameras she faced were all for acting. Now that she was taking photos, she felt a little weird. Thankfully, she later got used to it and the photo shoot was soon over. The photographer shook hands with her. Fantastic. If you stop acting, you can become a model too. Lin Che beamed and replied politely, thank you. It's my first time having a photo shoot. Thank you all for having me. She left without removing her makeup because Gu Jingze suddenly called her, saying that something cropped up at home and she had to wait for him at home. Thus, she headed straight home. Upon returning home, the maids were all stunned by Lin Che's appearance. Wow, madam. Lin Che touched her own hair. What's wrong? Do I look ugly? Not at all, madam. You're gorgeous. Where did you go today? How come you're all dolled up? Lin Che smiled as she walked into her room to change clothes. The maids helped her at the side. They looked at Lin Che and couldn't help sighing, madam, you've always only put basic makeup. Today's makeup is different. Lin Che replied, yes. I tried heavy makeup today. We were shooting for a magazine cover, so I had to do it. Why, don't I look scary? I'm so not used to this. It's not scary at all. Really, you're too beautiful. Yes, you look like a doll. So gorgeous. Mo Hilling heard the chatter from outside. She was curious and wondered what was happening. She went in to take a look and she froze. Lin Che was back. Although she had already been staying in the GU residence for a few days, she still couldn't find a chance to interact with Gu Jingze. He was busy every day and ignored her completely. Even the maids at home didn't bother about her. In contrast, when Lin Che returned home, all these people fussed over her. Every one of them was even praising Lin Che and saying how pretty she was. Humph, how pretty could she be? It was only because she was Gu Jingze's lawfully wedded wife. That was why they all rushed to compliment her. However, upon entering, Lin Che suddenly turned around. She always had a pure and clean image. Even if she wore makeup, it was never heavy. However, her lips were dark red today. It was so striking that it made one freeze. The heavy makeup made her petite face more prominent. The thick and black eyeshadow made her eyes appear twice as large. She looked like an exquisite super dollfie with her curled hair and midnight black dress. Even as a woman, Mo Hilling thought that she was really very pretty. It made her eyes light up and she couldn't help but feel inferior. Mo Hilling couldn't utter a word she wanted to say. She grunted and turned to leave first. After leaving, Mo Hilling then thought, this Lin Che, no wonder she could capture so many people's hearts. However, no matter how good looking she was, it was just a face. Lin Che thought she was being absurd and didn't bother with her. Chapter 576. You will have a wealthy fan wanting to see you. Just at this moment, Gu Jingze returned. The first thing he saw upon entering was Lin Che with her heavy makeup like that. He paused, walked towards her, and held her arms as he looked at her. Lin Che felt uncomfortable from his stare. What? Gu Jingze asked. This is for the magazine shoot. Yes, I told you about it before. Gu Jingze really thought that he should just buy all the copies. He didn't want so many people to be looking at her this way. There would inevitably be plenty of men going crazy over a woman like this. And he was not willing. Lin Che looked at him and asked, oh right, why did you call me back? Do you know of a financial tycoon overseas named Eric? No. Okay, Gu Jingze overestimated her knowledge in this aspect. However, practically everyone knew of him because he was always on the Forbes list. She actually said that she didn't know who he was. Never mind, her brain capacity also probably did not have such standards. He will be coming for a few days and we'll be hosting him. However, his daughter is very fond of you. Huh, his daughter? Yes, his daughter is mixed-blooded. Her mother is AC national and her father is American. She's only 12 this year and is a fangirl. When she was in C Nation, she saw your TV drama. She used to like Gu Jingze very much. Now, she likes you, so. So you want to take me along? That's right, I'd like to take you to meet him. Since we are responsible for hosting him, of course, we hope to make him happy. This is one of his 3 daughters. However, he treats each daughter very well and they are all dearly beloved. If his daughter is happy, he should probably be happy too. Of course you can, but I've never met such an important little fan. Take it as if you're meeting a normal fan. Just sit in with us. Alright, but I don't really know how to talk to kids. You can try, he bent down and replied. We'll have kids in the future anyway. It's better to get used to it sooner. Idiot. Lin Che asked, then how should I dress when the time comes? Anything. Dress up a little so that your little fan can see that you really look better in real life than on TV. She'll definitely fall in love with you. Isn't it also good for you to have such a little fan? Ah, it's my first time meeting such a wealthy fan. Seriously, I'm not prepared at all. Alright, I'll be with you. You don't need to worry about anything. Just be yourself. He pinched her cheek. Lin Che still felt a mountainous pressure. Little did they know, on the side, Mo Hilling eavesdropped on their whole conversation. Eric was coming to C Nation. That was a well-known international tycoon and Lin Che actually said that she didn't know about him. It was natural for him to first contact Gu Jingze if he was coming here. After all, anyone who came to C Nation and didn't first visit the Gu family could really forget about mixing around. However, it was also only the Gu family who had the ability to invite Eric over. It looked like it was going to be huge. By then, who knew how many well-known figures would come too? Lin Che returned to the room and turned on the laptop to see what kind of person Eric was. She also told Shen Yoren about this through WeChat. At this point, Shen Yoren asked, who did you say it was? Eric. Yes, have you heard of him? Whoa, Eric, the financial tycoon Eric, he is the king of the stock market. Really, I'm not very aware. However, just then, Eric already appeared on the browser. His details were written very clearly on Wikipedia. Damn, she realized that she did know this person. Although she never really looked him up, she had naturally heard plenty of tales about a person like him. He started with nothing and became king of investments and the stock market. He was consistently the top few on the Forbes list. She had only forgotten his name. Now that she looked at the picture, she then realized who he was. So she was going to meet this person. And his daughter was her fan. She should clearly be the one rushing to suck up to them. Lin Che said, Yoren, I must definitely take a picture to show off then. This is great. Stop it, Shen Yoren said exasperatedly. I'm dying of jealousy and envy. Please help me ask him what stocks I should be buying. Get lost. I'm not going to ask this kind of stupid question. Lin Che went filming for the next few days. On the way back to the crew, she kept thinking about how she was going to please Eric. When she returned to the crew, they were indeed stricter with her but also nicer to her. The director felt responsible and rented a villa for her and her crew. He even hired someone to look after her accommodation and made security guards stick close by for protection. It really made her feel very helpless. Although she had such special treatment, at least the crew knew that she had just been kidnapped. Thus, they were understanding. Everything was fine with the crew over the next few days, but she was still dead tired. However, Lin Che's period suddenly did not come. This made her feel somewhat surprised. Her period was usually rather on time. This time, it seemed to be 2 days late. As she counted the days, she rested and somehow felt a little anticipation in her heart. Thinking about this month they didn't really take many precaution. Was she really pregnant? On this day, she rushed back home from the film set. She was going to meet Eric soon, so she had to come back and try on clothes. Yu Minmin was also there. As she read about Eric, she said, "Who would have thought that you'd have such a good fan, oh my god. When the time comes, you must definitely give a good performance. Maybe the big one will also become your fan and then you'll be able to head straight for Hollywood." Please, me, Hollywood, I haven't even conquered C Nation properly. Yu Minmin said, but it looks like there'll be a lot of people going to meet Eric this time. Huh, isn't it going to just be at the Gu household? How can that be? When Eric comes to C Nation, so many people in this country would rush to see him. No way, I thought I was just going to babysit at the Gu household. Yu Minmin looked at her and shook her head. Seriously, don't you know how to ask if you're unsure? I can only say that your husband has too much faith in you. Never mind, I'll get the stylist to style you up. You can bring her with you. It's so rare to see you value something so much. It's just a personal event and you're sending me a stylist. But of course, this is a big shot, it's different. Yu Minmin kept to her word and quickly called a stylist to the Gu residence. When the stylist finished styling Lin Che, she looked at herself. It was indeed very different. If she went alone she would have been casual about it. At the very most, she would have used the hair curler to curl her hair a little. But now, her hair was long and flowing. It was really not bad. Her hair was not considered long, it only went to the middle of her back, but it still looked very nice when curled. Lin Che looked at herself in satisfaction and said, "This style is not bad." After that, she continued with her filming. She was going to go home again that day and go with Gu Jingze to meet Eric. Unknowingly, Mo Hilling was outside chatting and having tea with a friend. Her friend saw that her arm was still bandaged. She said quizzically, "How did you injure this hand?" "Really? I was just careless. Jingze said that I needed to recuperate well and that was why I moved into the Gu residence." "But if Gu Jingze actually let you move in, then it looks like that wife of his isn't making the cut." Chapter 577, I came to ask you for help. Mo Hilling laughed as she sat there, letting her friend talk. "How is the Gu residence? Is it especially big? I heard that it's very strict and there is a herd of maids. When are you going to bring us for a visit?" Her friend looked at Mo Hilling enviously. Nobody thought that she could actually turn things around on her own. Everybody thought that she and Gu Jingze were over for good. Mo Hilling smiled and said, "Not just anybody can enter that place. Visiting is all the more impossible." That person heard this and pouted. Deep down, she thought, how proud. "If I can't go, then so be it. It's only because you're riding on the coattails of your child that you can move into the Gu residence." Mo Hilling had been announcing everywhere outside that she had already moved into the Gu residence. Everyone looked at her enviously. Once again, she felt the kind of happiness she had when she was with Gu Jingze in the past. No, this was even better than in the past. Because when she was with Gu Jingze, she had to be cautious and didn't quite dare to show off too much. Neither did she think of showing off. After all, they were together for so long that she took everything she had for granted. It was only when she left Gu Jingze that she immediately felt worthless in this circle. This time, when she once again had a connection with Gu Jingze, everyone's compliments and envy made her feel even better. It felt so satisfying to be by Gu Jingze's side. Mo Hilling said, "Oh right. I asked to meet you because I'd like to seek your help for something." "Huh, what?" "You're aware that Eric is coming to C Nation soon. The Gu family will be hosting him." Yes. Since you're with Gu Jingze, you'll have a chance to go too." Mo Hilling's heart hurt. No, Gu Jingze didn't let her go at all. Mo Hilling didn't say that because even if Gu Jingze didn't invite her, she would think of a way to go on her own. Mo Hilling said, "Lin Che is also going. Furthermore, she's going to suck up to Eric." Tisk tisk. Actresses will be actresses. They would suck up to anybody. I hope that this time, she'll be unrecognizable. What, isn't that bad? Mo Hilling said, "Don't you know that the stylist she often goes to is under your family business?" You mean? You can put a little something in her hair and skincare products, haha, when the time comes, she'll. Wasn't this too evil? She wanted to disfigure a pretty girl who was a celebrity at that. She didn't quite dare to do it because this was Lin Che. If she got caught, she wouldn't be able to afford the consequences. However, Mo Hilling said, "Hey, what is Lin Che to you now? She doesn't know you at all and would never cross paths with someone of your status. I, on the other hand, am your longtime friend. If you help me become the house mistress of the Gu family, my child and I will never forget you." How could she do it? When Lin Che normally did her hair, she would first wash it and do a treatment. Otherwise, frequent styling would be damaging to the hair. As an artist, she had to anticipate such things. No matter how expensive a styling product was, it would still damage the hair. It was unavoidable. Thus, she had no choice but to spend time protecting her hair. On this day, Yu Minmin took her for her hair treatment as usual. Upon entering the salon, Yu Minmin said, "Eric is coming tomorrow. After your hair is done today, you have to treat it tomorrow morning. Your hair must be smooth and shining when you meet Eric. You're guaranteed to enchant thousands of people." Lin Che said speechlessly, "Please, I'm just going there as a babysitter." It was Yu Minmin who found this salon. Ever since her career picked up, she would come here. This was on the higher end in B City and privacy here was good. Thus, many famous people would come here. Upon seeing Lin Che arrive, the employee took out Lin Che's usual products. "Miss Lin, you're here. Please give me a second. I'll be ready soon." However, they thought that the employee acted a little weird today. Yu Minmin remarked, "She seems weird." Lin Che agreed, "Yeah, I feel the same way. Is there anything wrong with me today?" "I don't think so. I don't have any shocking news recently. I've been occupied with filming and I didn't participate in any activity at all. But your cover photo for Wiley has been published online today. Perhaps she saw how different you looked, so she also feels very weird." Alright. Because of that cover photo, many people indeed said that they saw another side of Lin Che. They thought that she only knew how to play one type of role. Now, it looked like it might not be a bad thing if she changed her style. Thus, everybody highly anticipated when she could portray a role like this. But a rising star like Lin Che would have arrangements made by the company. They normally wouldn't change her image out of a sudden. Instead, they would focus on establishing her fame first. When that and her fan base were stable, they would then slowly try out other styles and roles. Lin Che had not gotten to that stage yet. Hooking everyone's appetite first was also not a bad way. She lied down and didn't bother about anything else. She waited as the employee treated her hair. She thought that it smelled different but she did not say anything. It just smelled a little different from usual. After that, she saw that the employee kept looking back at her fearfully. Lin Che asked in puzzlement, "What's wrong?" "Oh, it's nothing. I'm going to start on your face. Give me a second." She quickly took out skincare products. Lin Che watched her and all the more thought that something did not feel right. Especially when the employee quickly mixed the skincare products and walked towards her. Just as the employee's hand was close to Lin Che, she grabbed it. The employee was so frightened that she went weak. Lin Che asked, "What is going on? What exactly is happening?" The employee hastily said, "Nothing, nothing. It's nothing at all. It's just that we changed to a new line of skincare products." "Really?" Lin Che already felt that something was not right. She pursed her lips and looked at the employee in front of her. "Only changed products? I'm advising you to best explain clearly. You're merely an employee here. If something really happens, are you sure you want to be a scapegoat for someone else?" The employee was so scared that she shivered and went down on her knees. I'm sorry. It has nothing to do with me. I just felt that there was something off about the products." The employees handled these products on a daily basis so they could immediately tell if something was wrong. Lin Che's eyes halted. She wanted to say something but already felt that her entire scalp was starting to feel itchy. "Yes, it's not right. Something is off with the product. My scalp is itchy." Yu Minmin heard this and immediately made Lin Che lie down. She took the water and rinsed her hair. Chapter 578. I'm really too ugly and hideous. The employee was already dumbfounded. This was a public figure with tons of fans. If she implicated herself, would she still be able to continue living? Lin Che couldn't care about anything else. She quickly went to the hospital first. However, Yu Minmin immediately noticed that parts of her hair were slowly turning gray and then breaking off. Oh my god, what exactly was this? They quickly reached the hospital. The doctor looked at her and also got scared. After a series of assessments and quick detoxifying medication, Lin Che was finally okay. But her hair. The doctor said, an industrial dosage was probably added. We still need to find out what exactly was added. It looks like your scalp and your body are fine. As for your hair. Lin Che touched her own hair and felt that the remainder of it was messy and a lot shorter. Had she already become bald? How do I look? Minmin, give me a mirror to see. Is my hair all gone? Minmin only looked at her speechlessly. Don't worry, it didn't fall off completely. A large part of your hair just broke off. How exactly is it? Tell me first. Don't worry, I can take it, Lin Che spoke with clenched fists. Minmin could only say, take a look at yourself then. She held a mirror in front of Lin Che. Lin Che saw that her hair broke off until there were only a few inches left. There were also some long strands, but the difference was so great that she simply looked like a crazy person. Oh my god, I'm hideous. Lin Che quickly tossed the mirror away. However, thinking about it, she picked up the mirror again to see if her hair could still be salvaged. But she really didn't think there was anything left to be saved. No way, I still have to entertain Eric with the Gu family tomorrow. If I go like this, I'm going to be such an embarrassment. Minmin could only say, don't be like this, I'll get the stylist to think of something. Lin Che collapsed right there. I'm really down on my luck today. Minmin said, you should be glad that nothing happened to your face. If you didn't feel that something was off just now, your face would really be gone if you continued to let her do your face. Lin Che touched her own face. Thinking about it, she really felt scared on hindsight. She only felt that something was not right at that time and she didn't think about anything else. Now that she thought about it, it was true. Oh my god, who would try to disfigure me? I believe it's very suspicious that someone is trying to disfigure you right now. It should be someone who has a grudge against you or the Gu family. They even know about you meeting Eric. Mo Hilling. Lin Che gritted her teeth as she said this name. She couldn't think of anyone else besides Mo Hilling who would know about her meeting with Eric and also had such a deep hatred towards her. When Lin Che returned home, Minmin also followed her in. The maids saw her and were all shocked. Madam, this is... Where is Mo Hilling? Lin Che immediately asked. Inside. The maids replied. Without saying anything else, Lin Che immediately walked in. Mo Hilling, tell me what exactly do you want? Why are you yelling? Don't you have any sense of manners? Mo Hilling came out and immediately saw Lin Che's appearance. She froze and then burst into laughter. Oh my, is this your new style, Lin Che? Lin Che narrowed her eyes and looked at Mo Hilling's mocking face. Isn't this your doing, Mo Hilling? Mo Hilling couldn't contain her laughter. She held her hand over her mouth and said lightly, I'm recuperating with a baby. How can I have the time to bother with you? Humph, I can't think of anyone else who would be as vicious as you. Ha, why would I be vicious? I don't need to go against you at this point in time. As long as my baby is born, everything you have now will be mine. This is extraneous and I have absolutely no need to do such a thing. You. Mo Hilling looked at her triumphantly. What, do you want to hit me? Are you going to aim for my belly or my upper body? Come and try me. When you're done, I'll make sure you become nothing. Humph, you're a madam of the Gu family who let someone else carry your husband's child. Come and hit me. Let your fans see how their idol is truly like. Minmin held Lin Che back. Hold your horses. We will not fight. Yes, I'll not fight her. Lin Che grunted. I won't hit you or scold you. I'll see how long you can kick up a fuss. When the child is born and it's not Gu Jingze's, I'll see what you're going to do. Mo Hilling did not think that the child wouldn't be Gu Jingze's. She scoffed and said, go ahead and continue deceiving yourself. You'll know once the child is born. Lin Che walked in. Mo Hilling was still laughing. She deserved it. Lin Che's appearance just now was really way too ugly. If Gu Jingze saw her this time, he might not want her anymore. Lin Che returned to her room feeling angry. Anybody who was sabotaged like this would feel angry. Hair could be grown, but she had a meeting tomorrow. She really didn't know what to do. Minmin comforted her. Lin Che said, never mind. What's done is done. I can wear a hat or a wig. Yes, don't worry. There'll always be a solution. Go back home. You've been keeping me company for the entire day. I can fix myself. Don't worry. Yu Minmin still felt worried about her. She informed Gu Jingze about this first. She felt a lot more at ease if Gu Jingze was by Lin Che's side. Furthermore, Gu Jingze would always have a better solution than she did. He would be able to comfort Lin Che. After Yu Minmin left, Lin Che sat there and scrutinized herself in the mirror. She wasn't a pessimist. She knew that what was done could not be undone. There was no point in harping over it. She only just couldn't quite accept it yet. Thinking about all these, she was once again reminded that her period was not here yet. Since her hair was like this, people probably wouldn't be able to recognize her. She decided to take this opportunity to go out to a drugstore. She never bought this kind of thing before and felt rather embarrassed about it. The employee looked at her and probably also thought that a man would still want her like this. Thus, there was still a curious look on the employee's face. But the employee did not say anything and gave the pregnancy test kit to her. She went home and started using it according to the instructions. While she was waiting, she heard a noise from outside. Lin Che. Gu Jingze was calling out to her. Lin Che panicked. She looked at the kit and it was not ready yet. I'm in the toilet. Outside, Gu Jingze heard her and asked, "What are you doing?" Nothing. I'm just pooping. Gu Jingze said, I already heard about it. Come out. Let me see how is your hair. Chapter 579. If you want, we can start making babies now. No, I'm not going out. Lin Che also didn't want him to see her like this. She thought that it was so embarrassing and she was so ugly. It was fine if others saw her, but to let Gu Jingze see her. In the first place, she already felt that she and Gu Jingze were from two different worlds when she stood in front of him. Now, it was worse. If others saw her standing with him like this, she would most likely become the laughingstock immediately. They would probably think that Gu Jingze must have been simply too unlucky to marry her. She also thought that Gu Jingze was indeed unlucky. He must have owed her something in his past life and that was why he had to marry her in this life. Now, it was just great. However, Gu Jingze continued calling outside, hurry up and open the door. Otherwise, I'm going to kick it down. No, Lin Che said, I'm really too hideous. Lin Che saw that the pregnancy kit was ready. She picked it up to look at it. Seeing as Lin Che still didn't want to come out, Gu Jingze stood outside and frowned. Lin Che, how are you? There was no sound from the inside. Gu Jingze could only say, fine. You're not coming out, right? Gu Jingze banged the door. Okay, I'll come out. Lin Che opened the door fearfully. However, she quickly hid the pregnancy test kit behind her. Gu Jingze saw her weird demeanor and froze. Lin Che then remembered her hair and she quickly tried to cover her head with her hands. Stop looking at me, I'm so ugly. Subsequently, Gu Jingze pulled her hand down. It's okay, there's nothing to hide, I've seen every look of yours. Your hair is just messy, it's no big deal. Lin Che raised her head and looked at Gu Jingze, but I am so ugly. We're going out tomorrow. They're definitely going to laugh when they see me. I even said that I'll put on a good show, but now, Eric is coming and I look like this. Gu Jingze replied, Lin Che, no matter what you look like on the outside, you are still you. Those who like you as a person won't suddenly dislike you just because of your hair. But there are so many beauties in your entertainment circle who are prettier than you. However, they are not as famous as you. Why do you think this is so? Because they're not lucky. Luck may be a factor, but there's also another factor. Besides your looks, you have other merits and people like these merits of yours. Thus, your hair may not be pretty now, but you still have your other merits. It's only hair. Lin Che heard this and indeed felt much better in an instant. It was not because everything he said made her feel better. It was because he said that she still had other merits. It felt as if he was praising her. Furthermore, it really made her feel much better when she was comforted by him like this. Sometimes, she didn't need him to say anything pleasing to the ears. As long as he was willing to comfort her, it already made her feel very happy. Lin Che reached her hand out and looked at him. Then, she realized that the stick she was hiding was now in plain sight. Lin Che panicked and wanted to hide it again, but it was too late. Gu Jingze already saw it. What is this? No, nothing. Let me see it. Gu Jingze took the stick from her hand. Lin Che really wanted to hide herself in a hole. Idiot, give it back. It's a pregnancy test kit. There's nothing to see. Pregnancy test kit? Gu Jingze stared at her. You. Lin Che took the stick back. My period didn't come, so I wanted to check. But it's a single line, so I'm not pregnant. Gu Jingze heard this and also looked disappointed. However, seeing Lin Che pout, he took the pregnancy test kit and tossed it. He smiled at her. Why are you so disappointed that you're not pregnant? He pulled Lin Che to sit on the bed. She looked up at Gu Jingze. Well, my period wasn't here and I wondered if I might have gotten pregnant. Because after all this month you didn't take precautions several times. Thus, I came home to do the test. I just wanted to test for it. I didn't have any other thought, but I'm not pregnant, so I felt that today was really my unlucky day. Gu Jingze chuckled as he looked at her and tugged her hand. He said plainly, so be it then. You think it's so easy to be pregnant? This is also up to probability, but if you want to. He leaned in to whisper beside her ear, next month, we'll make it happen with one try. Lin Che's face blushed. If she wanted to. He made it sound as if she wanted to bear a child for him that badly. She immediately pushed against his chest, but Gu Jingze chuckled lowly and held her down firmly. Hey Gu Jingze, let go of me, you can still do this. I'm so ugly. What's so ugly? You're not ugly at all. When both of them woke up, Gu Jingze went out first. Nobody knew where he went. Lin Che was puzzled for a while. When Gu Jingze returned, he said to her, I've called in a stylist. Come out here with me. Let him give you a new look. Huh, a stylist? Our company actually has a stylist too, Lin Che said. He is rumored to be pretty good. Just go take a look. Pretty good? What's his name? Lin Che asked. Gu Jingze replied, Andy Clive. Why does this name sound so familiar? Lin Che pondered for a while and she suddenly seemed to recall something. She quickly searched the name and the person that appeared indeed almost made her jump in surprise. Hey, are you talking about this Andy? Gu Jingze only took a glance, expressing that he wasn't clear. Lin Che immediately said, this is a makeup artist for supermodels. He used to work with Mu Feiren. After he became famous, he went overseas and only worked for Paris Fashion Week, Milan Fashion Week and with Hollywood big shots. Really, I only asked my men to find the best makeup artist. Oh my god, I'm going to meet this makeup artist. As Lin Che was brought out, her mind was still in a daze. She was letting a Hollywood makeup artist style her. When Yu Minmin returned to Glazed Tile Palace, she received a call from home. They received an invitation that seemed to be from her previous school. Yu Minmin could only go home first. Her mother was doing rather well in their new house. She seemed to have put on a little weight. Yu Chengcheng was also at home. He looked at Yu Minmin and said, Sis, I saw the invitation. It's a class reunion gathering and they're inviting you. Yu Minmin replied, yeah, forget it. I don't want to go. Why not? Yu Chengcheng asked sympathetically. Yu Minmin asked, why do you want me to go? Yu Chengcheng said, you were often bullied by your classmates in the past. Go back and show them how you're Madam President now. This is called giving them a slap in the face. You're just a kid. Focus on your own school work. Don't bother so much. Yu Minmin quietly kept the invitation and was still undecided. When she was in school, she was indeed the bullied one. Chapter 580. He pulled and kissed her at the hotel entrance. Because at that time, while her family wasn't as obviously superior as now, the teachers were simply biased towards those cleaner and neater children with better families. She didn't have any nice clothes and always wore old ones. She was always going in and out and didn't have time to stop and tidy herself up. Thus, the teachers also were not fond of her. Her classmates didn't like students that the teachers didn't like too. Thus, at that time, she was always subjected to bullying. But these were no big deal anymore. She later grew up and when she met her old classmates again, she would simply laugh it off when they brought these things up. Yu Minmin instructed Yu Chengcheng, study hard. Don't bother with those things that aren't important. I'm going back. Don't worry, sis. The school treats me like a precious gem now. I'm not as tragic as you were. You were even bullied while you were in school. Nobody dares to bully me now. Hey, don't be so arrogant. Don't worry, this is only my motivation. I'll definitely study hard and live up to my years of awesomeness. Kids these days, really. Yu Minmin left home and went to an advertising firm to talk about collaborating. Unexpectedly, just as she stepped into the company, someone called out to her. Yu Minmin. She turned around. Behind her stood a tall and lanky man who had a sunny disposition. Yu Minmin froze. Feng Xiaoqing. Feng Xiaoqing was her classmate. Back then, he had a good family background and was good in his studies and at sports. He was simply the male idol in school. Many girls in the entire school carried a torch for him. Yu Minmin remembered that she also liked him very much then. It wasn't because he was the school beau. Instead, it was because he was in the same class as her and they joined the same hobby group. They were grouped together and had to make a robot as a team. Since then, the way he treated her warmed her heart a lot. However, her hidden feelings at that time were as brisk as passing wind. Once it was gone, it was gone. Most people knew that carrying a torch for someone was just that. Nothing would ever come out of it. He smiled as he walked towards her. It's really you. I never thought that I would meet you here. I thought Madam President doesn't usually step out of the house. Yu Minmin paused for a moment and then smiled rather sheepishly. I'm out to work. I merely married a person. I'll still do what I need to do. I'm no different from a normal woman. In the first place, Madam President also had to have her own activities. This would make the citizens like her more. Thus, Gu Jingming did not object to her working. Feng Xiaoqing asked, "What are you doing here?" "Oh, I came to talk about a collaboration. Why are you here?" "This is my dad's company." "Ah, I see. Right, I forgot you were a rich heir when you were in school." "What rich heir?" He laughed as he let her go up with him. He asked her who she was going to talk to and how. He helped her along the way and then said, "So you're helping Lin Che find collaborations. Go ahead. If you encounter any problems, just ask me." "Thanks for your help." "It's nothing. We're old classmates. There's nothing to be so polite about among old classmates." Upon hearing this, Yu Minmin relaxed and smiled. She then went in. They had already had multiple discussions about the collaboration. Now, it was the final discussion about the contract details and they would be ready to sign it. Thus, it was completed very quickly. When she went out, Feng Xiaoqing was still waiting for her outside. Seeing Yu Minmin come out, he walked her out and said, "Oh right, the class reunion is in a few days. Have you received the invitation?" "I haven't decided if I want to go yet. She didn't say that she did not feel like going." "Go for it. You haven't seen your classmates in a long time. Everybody misses you." When they walked out, Yu Minmin saw the presidential guards waiting outside. Feng Xiaoqing also paused as he saw the people outside. He turned to Yu Minmin. Yu Minmin said, "I'll be on my way." "Oh, they're here to pick you up?" Feng Xiaoqing asked. "Don't tell me that is Mr. President." "Yeah." Feng Xiaoqing looked up in that direction. Yu Minmin already hurriedly ran over. The guard opened the car door and sure enough, Gu Jingming was inside. He looked outside. That man was still standing there. Gu Jingming asked, "Who is that?" Yu Minmin turned back, took a glance, and then said, "An old classmate." She didn't realize that when she talked about this, there was some femininity on her face. Gu Jingming narrowed his eyes at her and looked at the person behind more intensely. In the end, Yu Minmin decided to go for the class reunion at night. She dressed up a little. Gu Jingming noticed it quickly. "Where are you going?" "I have a class reunion," Yu Minmin replied. Gu Jingming narrowed his eyes. An attendant was helping with her clothes and hair behind. She put on some light makeup and was soon ready. She said to him, "I'll be back early." "Come on, I'll send you," Gu Jingming said. "Huh, that's not necessary," Yu Minmin said with a surprised voice. Gu Jingming said, "I have to go back to the Gu household. I'll send you and then go over." Yu Minmin thought that it was too troublesome. However, he didn't give her a chance to reject him and had the chauffeur prepare the car. They drove straight to Yu Minmin's class reunion venue. It was a high-end hotel. Yu Minmin looked at Gu Jingming. Thanks for taking me here. I'll be on my way. She put one foot down and her chest was slightly revealed. She wore a low-cut top today, but it actually wasn't very low-cut. It was just that her breasts were too big. Gu Jingming pulled her back in one swift motion. Yu Minmin froze. Gu Jingming looked at her and looked like he was ready to kiss her. This shocked Yu Minmin. Ah, you. She instinctively tried to dodge him. Gu Jingming's eyes deepened further. Why are you dodging? You don't want me to touch you. It's not that Yu Minmin turned to look behind. There were probably many people attending this reunion dinner and they would be walking around here. If anybody saw them. However, her expression did seem as if she was not willing. Gu Jingming's eyes deepened. He pulled Yu Minmin to himself. Without waiting for her to reject, he kissed her on her lips. She was practically kneeling in his embrace. She tilted her head as he kissed her deeply. The car door was still slightly opened. This made her heart palpitated. It was too exciting. It was too scary. It was too embarrassing. Gu Jingming finally released her. However, he licked her lips as if he couldn't get enough of her. Yu Minmin's face was red. On the other hand, Gu Jingming's expression was back to normal, overbearingly intoxicating. It was as if what just happened did not happen at all. She hastily said, I'm going in. After that, she opened the car door to go out. She quickly looked around to see if anybody noticed them. Thankfully, she didn't see any familiar faces. She then hurriedly went in.